Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a while, I have been gone. If you don't follow me on TikTok, I basically took boards, convinced myself that I failed boards, then went on a trip the day after I took boards. I went to Croatia, I went to Acadia in Maine, spent some more time in Maine, then went to South Carolina, then went to Alaska, then went to Japan, then went to London, then came back. And I've now started my job. It's my first week, so far so good, but it's been a whirlwind and I haven't really been recording that much because I've just been all over the place. But I'm back, ERAS is in. I wanted to record a video about what I wish I knew when I was applying to residency. So these are some of the things that I think looking back are really important and just some good tidbits that maybe you won't hear from some other people. So I hope you enjoy. Please don't forget to subscribe. Let's jump in. Also, this is now, because ERAS is in, probably focusing more on interviews. I have a whole video that I did about ERAS tips. I can link it if you're interested, I guess, for next year. But this is more so after ERAS is in, so interviews and stuff like that. So my first tip is, if you can, take the months, like the main interview months, off of clinical. The reason for this is you're back and forth, you're in so many different places, especially now that more and more places are going back to in-person interviews. It's so stressful to try and balance a busy interview schedule with a busy clinical schedule and thinking about, calling off, having to get permission for the days off that you want off, covering shifts, having to come back and cover shifts in between interviews. It's exhausting, and if you can take it off, I highly recommend it. I think most places are pretty good about this. They know how demanding it is to interview, and so most places, I think, give most people off, but if you can, really recommend that. Number 2, have an organized calendar. And I don't just mean, oh, this interview on this day. I mean the exact time of the interview, the exact time and location, like with address, time and address of interview, time and address of dinner, flight number, exact time you take off, exact time you land, hotel reservation number, hotel address. You're gonna be so tired. You're gonna be traveling around to so many places. You don't wanna search in your email for Indianapolis and have 40 places come up. You don't remember what airline you're on. You have to search through. Just put all the information that you can in a calendar. You're also gonna be making decisions on the fly. I remember getting out of an interview and being like, okay, I can actually change, I got out earlier than I thought I would. I was like, okay, I can actually change my flight so I can make it to this pre-interview dinner. So I had to change my flight last minute, and it's just nice to have all that information at your fingertips. So highly recommend doing that. Then also you're not like in a city and you realize you forget to book a hotel or something. You have everything there and you're organized. Number 3, speaking of flights and hotels, is budget. I went on 19 interviews. It cost me $10,000. I'm just letting you know that to be realistic in the fact that it is so expensive. Stressing out about money on top of stressing out about interviews would be miserable. So just budget. Whatever way that works for you, just have a realistic view of how much this is going to cost you. I am not the best at money advice. I have heard that some people take out new credit cards for interview season because you're buying a lot of flights, you're buying a lot of hotels, you're spending a lot of money, and you can get a lot of credit card points and then book things on points. That is just what I've heard. I personally did not do that, but maybe looking back, I should have. I don't know. Just think about your budget because it is a very stressful time, and medical school is notoriously a lean money time, and so it's something you have to take into account. Number 4. In my opinion, the pre-interview dinner is just as important, if not more important, than the interview itself. It's a more casual environment, they get to know you, you get to know them, you get to feel out the vibes of the place, which you'll hear me say this, but for me is like the most important thing about an interview. You get to see how the residents interact with each other. If you come up with an inside joke at the pre-interview dinner, then you kind of bring it up the next day, or they remember something about you, or you remember something about them, and it creates kind of a camaraderie. I don't know, I just think it's a really good way to introduce yourself to the group and see how you would fit in a social setting. So if you can, and when you schedule your interviews, try to make it to as many pre-interview dinners as possible. All right, number 5, in terms of the interview itself, my number 1 interview tip is to have set stories, good stories that really highlight what you want to highlight, and have them so that you can kind of twist the story to fit multiple scenarios and multiple common interview questions. For example, a common question is, what is something that you're the most proud of? Another common question, what is a hardship that you've had to overcome? Those two questions, you could have the same story answer for both. It would be hard if the same person asked you both of those questions. I doubt it because they're very similar. So you can even reuse the same story between different interviewers in the same interview because they don't really share like that information between each other. But just have these stories that you can kind of twist into different scenarios that highlight what you want to highlight about yourself. If your interviews are virtual, I think the background is important. Do not take a cue from my background of this video because my house is a mess and I have like energy drinks in the corner. But for virtual interviews, background is important. When I was interviewing people, liked a background that had some personality. So I liked when people put a photograph that they took or a painting that they did or plants or something that you could talk about in the background of their chat box or whatever it's called, video box. It's kind of obvious, yes, but also it's a good conversation starter. It's a good highlight of what you want to highlight to talk about your hobbies. I just think it's cute, and if done appropriately, it can be great. If you don't do that, a blurry background's fine, but get creative with it if you feel like you have that opportunity. Next, it's very important to realize that the people you meet on the interviews, both the people that you are interviewing with and the people who are interviewing you, will be people that you are interacting with for the rest of your career. They're your colleagues, they're people you're seeing at conferences, they're people you may call for advice. For me, one of the people I met on the interview trail is the other person joining my private practice at the same time as me. Like, I knew him on the interview trail and we're meeting again and being in the same practice. And one of the attendings in my practice also was someone who interviewed me on the interview trail and remembered me. So you always want to put your best foot forward. You always want to make a good impression on people, be friendly, introduce yourself, because those connections can get you really far in life and matter in the long term. All right, number 8. It is so important on interviews to remember that yes, they are picking you. They're interviewing you for a job and they are making a decision on you, but you are also interviewing places. I feel like you hear this a lot, but it's not just about them picking you, it's about you picking them. And I think that's just important to keep in the back of your mind. You need to ask the questions that are important to you so you can pick the place where you belong. Like I said, for me, it was vibes. So I just wanted to see how people interacted with each other, how the residents interacted with the attendings, what the general vibe was like. I wanted to end up in a place where everyone was friendly and where it was like a big, fun group. If call is really important to you, you have to ask those questions so that you don't end up at a place that you don't like the call. If not driving to multiple different hospitals is important to you, you have to ask those questions. So yes, they're interviewing you and you want to make a good impression, but they're also trying to make a good impression on you and you get to pick a place also. So just keep that in mind. Okay, last thing, and this is the most cliche of my cliche advice. Everything happens for a reason. I truly believe this is the case. Everything happens for a reason. You've worked so hard to get to where you are. Even if you don't end up at the top spot, you're probably going to be happier at the spot you do end up than you would be at what you thought was your top spot. I just really believe that happens for a reason. And I think that's a nice, reassuring thought to have in the back of your mind as you go through this whole residency application process. Not a crutch to lean on, right? Like, you still want to work hard, you still want to strive to get what you want, but just a nice comforting thought in the background that everything happens for a reason. You're gonna end up where you're supposed to end up. And I just truly believe that. So it's scary and it's stressful, but it'll be okay. I hope this was helpful. I wish that someone had given me some of this advice when I was going through interviews, and it's just a great time. I'm really honestly jealous of the people who are about to go through interviews and finish the application process. I had so much fun. I'm still friends with so many people that I met on the trail. It's so stressful waiting for your match letter and everything, but it is so fun when you get it, and that whole time is so fun. So I'm just gonna be living it vicariously through all of you. But I hope you found this advice helpful. I hope you all do great. You're gonna do great. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.